The message popped up at 2:14 a.m., but it wasn't the time or the sender that made my stomach drop, it was the image. My phone vibrated on the nightstand and, half awake, I grabbed it with one hand, still tangled in my sheets. One swipe, and there it was, a selfie of my wife, Madison, not alone, but draped over another man on a rumpled hotel bed. Both of them grinning, her dress hiked up, his arms slung around her waist like he owned her. They looked proud. Not a trace of guilt, not a hint of secrecy, like they wanted the world to see. For 3 long seconds, my brain just short-circuited. Then the rest of the photos arrived, each one worse than the last. Madison blowing a kiss to the camera. Madison and the guy, Tyler, I'd later learn, cheering with cheap champagne. Madison in the hotel mirror, with Tyler behind her, his hands where only mine should have been. I wanted to smash my phone against the wall, but my hands just locked up and shook. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. Only one question screamed in my head: who sent these to me? Then I saw the name, Megan Carter. I had no idea who she was, until I read her brutal message under the photos. Your wife and my husband have been sneaking around for months. I thought you deserved the truth. Megan. Everything spun. Everything I thought was solid, my marriage, my trust, my life, just shattered. Right then, I realized I wasn't the only one whose world was collapsing. Megan was Tyler's wife. She just nuked both of our lives in one midnight text. I stumbled out of bed, still in last night's sweatpants, heart hammering so loud I thought I'd wake the neighbors. The silence in the house was unreal, almost mocking. Madison had texted me 3 hours earlier, girls' night ran late. Crashing at Emily's, love you. Lies. All of it. My stomach twisted as I replayed every late meeting, every phone on silent, every time she turned away when I tried to hug her. It was all right there, in stupid high-def photos, undeniable, disgusting proof. I wanted to scream, to smash something, but instead I started pacing, breathing like a cornered animal. Was I angry? Furious. Was I heartbroken? Completely. But more than anything, I felt played. Humiliated. My wife wasn't just cheating, she was laughing at me behind my back. And she was good at it. Slick. Heartless. Like betrayal was just a hobby to her. Suddenly, I heard the front door creak. Madison was home, early, not even bothering to pretend she was at her friend's place. I froze, phone in hand, Megan's message still glowing on the screen. My mind raced, confront her now, or wait and see what other lies she'd spit out. Madison breezed in, dropping her purse by the door like nothing was wrong. She didn't see me at first. She was humming, actually humming, as she pulled off her heels and glanced at her reflection. I just stared, at her, at the woman I thought I knew. The mask she wore fell off in my eyes, and all I saw was a stranger. Before she could speak, I stepped into the hallway, holding up my phone so she could see her own face staring back at her from the hotel bed. Her eyes flickered. Guilt? Fear? No, not Madison. She just smirked, lips curling like she was about to laugh in my face. And right there, as silence filled the house, I realized, tonight wasn't just about finding out the truth. It was about showing her she couldn't lie her way out anymore. The game had changed, and this time, I was done being the fool. The air felt thick as concrete. For a split second, Madison didn't say a word. Then she did something I never expected, she rolled her eyes and gave this lazy, almost amused grin. So, you finally figured it out, she said, like I'd caught her eating cookies before dinner, not blowing up our marriage. I slammed my phone on the hallway table. Don't even try it, Madison. I've seen everything. The pictures, the messages. Megan sent me everything. Her eyes narrowed at the mention of Megan, but the fake innocence didn't slip for a second. You're going to listen to me for once, I shot back, louder than I'd ever spoken in this house. Who the hell is Tyler, and how long has this circus been going on? She folded her arms, every bit the bratty queen she thought she was. Eyes ice cold. Tyler's my friend. You're overreacting, as usual. I cut her off, voice shaking. Don't insult me. You were in bed with him, Madison. I have the proof, multiple times, multiple hotels. I expected fear, or even guilt. Instead, she scoffed. And? You're so boring, David. Maybe if you weren't so predictable, I wouldn't need someone else to actually make me feel alive. That line hit harder than any punch. For a moment, it almost knocked the rage out of me, almost. So this is my fault? I snapped. You lie to my face, sneak around, and now you're blaming me because you got bored? She threw her purse onto the couch, not even looking at me. You want honesty? Fine. Tyler makes me laugh. He doesn't lecture me about bills or what I wear. He's not a control freak. He's fun. Her words dripped with venom, each one carefully designed to cut as deep as possible. I was shaking, not just from anger, but from shock. Madison didn't just cheat, she wanted me to feel small for even asking. The seconds dragged out, but I refused to let her twist this into something else. You're not going to gaslight me, I managed, my voice low and broken. You lied. Repeatedly. You told me you were with Emily, but you were in a hotel room with Tyler. She shrugged, almost proud. Yeah, and? Maybe if you'd paid more attention, you'd have figured it out sooner. It's not like I tried that hard to hide it. I stared at her, really stared. The woman I married was gone. In her place stood someone who saw me as an obstacle, not a partner. I tried to find something to say, some threat, some demand, but my mind was scrambled. I didn't want to scream. I wanted answers. Did you ever care about us? I whispered. She laughed, loud and hollow. Care? Sure, David. I cared, when you were interesting. But you're just safe. I need more than safe. That word, safe, kept ringing in my ears. I remembered all those nights she said she was tired, all the times she pushed me away, all the casual lies. Suddenly, every puzzle piece clicked into place. Was it ever just Tyler? I asked, dreading the answer. She hesitated, a smirk tugging at her lips. You really want the truth? Maybe, maybe not. Does it even matter now? The look in her eyes told me everything. It was never about love. Never about us. Just her chasing whatever thrill she wanted, consequences be damned. The silence after that was nuclear. I felt the heat of betrayal burning through my chest, but even more than anger, I felt clarity. The woman I loved was gone, replaced by a selfish stranger who'd burn everything down just to feel a spark. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I just stood there, staring at her, and for the first time, I realized this wasn't my loss. It was hers. She'd lost someone who actually cared. I'd lost an illusion. My voice was calm, dead calm. Get out, Madison. Go find your fun. This house isn't your playground anymore. She rolled her eyes again, grabbed her keys, and without another word, walked out into the night. I didn't follow. I just listened to the silence, finally honest, finally mine. The door clicked shut, leaving behind nothing but a silence so thick it felt like a physical weight pressing down on my chest. For a few seconds, I just stood there, numb, unable to move. I listened for the sound of her car pulling away, half expecting her to storm back in with more insults or, worse, crocodile tears. But the street outside stayed quiet. Madison was gone, just like that. Not a backward glance, not even a slammed door, just pure indifference, as if she hadn't just bulldozed through the life we'd built together. I let myself sink onto the couch, the same spot where we'd sat together for years watching mindless shows, sharing inside jokes, sometimes even holding hands. Now the cushions felt cold and unfamiliar, the air stale and heavy. I stared at the pictures on my phone again, not because I needed proof but because I needed the pain. It was a reminder that this was real. This wasn't a bad dream I'd wake up from with her next to me, pretending nothing happened. The reality of the situation washed over me in waves. It wasn't just the affair. It was the way she looked at me, like I was an inconvenience. An old coat she'd outgrown. Her words echoed in my head, "You're so boring, David." I clenched my fists, forcing myself to breathe slowly, to not let the rage consume me. But it wasn't working. I wanted to smash something, to punch a hole in the wall, to call Tyler and rip into him. But what would that change? Nothing. I'd still be here, alone, with nothing but broken trust and humiliating memories. My phone buzzed again, snapping me out of my spiral. It was a text from Megan. "Are you okay? I know this is a nightmare. I'm so sorry." I almost laughed. Sorry? For what? Blowing up my life, or for being the messenger? I typed back, "I'm alive. Thanks for telling me the truth. Did you kick Tyler out?" A minute later, "Yeah. He's staying with his brother. I'm filing for divorce." Her decisiveness made me feel even more pathetic. Here I was, unable to move, while Megan was already making calls and ending things. It stung, realizing I'd let Madison walk all over me for so long. I started thinking back, piecing together every suspicious moment I'd ignored. The late-night texts, the business trips that never lined up, the way she'd started wearing perfume again after years of forgetting. Every lie now felt like an insult tattooed on my skin. But it was her coldness tonight that cut deepest. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't even embarrassed. She just wanted out. The anger slowly started morphing into something else, clarity. I realized I didn't miss her, I missed the version of her I thought was real. The woman I married was gone long before tonight. Maybe she never existed. That realization was its own kind of heartbreak, but also a twisted relief. Suddenly, I felt awake, really awake, for the first time in years. No more living in the fog of her lies, no more pretending things were fine. The house was quiet, but at least it was honest. The rage was still there, but it was cleaner now, sharper. It was energy I could use, not something that just ate away at me. I grabbed a trash bag and started clearing out her stuff, her shoes lined up by the door, her makeup sprawled across the bathroom sink, her pile of work magazines on the coffee table. With every armful, I felt lighter, more in control. I was reclaiming my space, one drawer at a time. Every empty spot was proof that she was gone, that I was finally taking back what was mine. At 3 a.m, exhausted and shaking, I dropped onto the bed, my bed now. I stared at the ceiling, and for the first time since the truth hit, I didn't feel weak. I felt free. Wounded, sure. Furious, absolutely. But free. As sleep crept in, I made myself a promise, I wouldn't let her lies define me. I'd figure out who I was, rebuild from the ashes she left behind. She could chase all the excitement in the world. I was done playing her game. Sleep barely touched me that night. My mind spun with everything, anger, confusion, a sick satisfaction every time I remembered Madison's stunned look when I called her out. By sunrise, I was running on pure adrenaline. I needed answers. I needed a plan. Lying in bed wasn't going to get me any closer to either. I decided I wouldn't be passive, not this time. If Madison wanted to play games, I could play back. The first thing I did was pull up our shared bank accounts. My heart pounded as I scrolled through transaction after transaction, mysterious hotel charges, late-night ride shares, expensive dinners at places we'd never been together. There it was, in black and white, she'd been funding her fun with Tyler using our money. The betrayal stung even deeper. I grabbed my laptop and started making a list. Every charge, every date, every overlapping work trip that now lined up with Tyler's schedule. I wanted every detail. I was done being in the dark. The more I dug, the more I saw how little she'd even tried to hide it. The confidence of someone who thought I'd never look. That arrogance only fueled me. I messaged Megan again. "I've got proof of their spending. Do you need it for your divorce?" Her reply came quick, "Absolutely. send me everything. And if you need a lawyer, mine's amazing. Tyler is already trying to fight for half the house. Half the house. I felt my jaw clench. Madison hadn't just cheated, she'd planned her escape. The way she walked out so easily last night suddenly made sense. She thought she'd walk away clean, maybe even take a piece of my life with her. The doorbell rang around 10 a.m., yanking me out of my thoughts. For a second, I thought maybe Madison had come back, ready for round 2, ready to twist the knife even deeper. Instead, it was my best friend, Josh. He must have heard something was up, either from Megan or just from the way I'd dropped off the radar. He stepped inside, took one look at the mess, Madison's stuff piled by the door, my face probably a war zone, and just nodded. "She did it, didn't she?" he asked quietly. I could only nod back. He pulled me into a bear hug, the kind I didn't even know I needed, and just let me stand there, shaking. For the next hour, I spilled everything. The photos, the hotel receipts, her words. Josh didn't interrupt, didn't offer any platitudes, just listened, eyes hardening with every detail. When I finished, he finally spoke. "What are you going to do now?" I stared at the pile of her things. "Divorce. She thinks she can walk all over me, take what she wants, and laugh about it. I'm not letting her." Josh's mouth twisted in a grin. "Good. But don't just react. Be smart. Get a lawyer. Freeze the accounts. Don't give her anything she doesn't deserve." That was the difference this time. I wasn't going to let my pain run the show. I was going to be cold. Calculated. I'd play her game, but I'd play to win. I spent the rest of the day calling lawyers, forwarding every shred of evidence to Megan, documenting everything. Madison hadn't texted. Not a single "sorry," not even an attempt at damage control. I realized then how little I actually mattered to her, how replaceable I was in her world. That burned, but it also made things simpler. There was no maybe. There was no fixing this. That evening, the doorbell rang again. This time it was Madison. She swept in like she still owned the place, barely looking at me as she headed for her stuff. I blocked her path, voice cold. "You'll get your things when my lawyer says so. Until then, you can stay with Tyler. Or whoever else you're screwing." She laughed, tossing her hair over her shoulder. "You think you're in control now? Cute. We'll see who wins in court, David." But for once, her voice had a tremor. For the first time, I saw fear in her eyes. And for the first time since this nightmare began, I smiled. That look, Madison's first flicker of real fear, lit something inside me. I'd been passive for too long, trying to hold together a marriage while she treated me like a doormat. Now, every petty power move she'd ever made only sharpened my resolve. I was going to fight back. I was going to win. The next morning, my lawyer, Mr. Blackwell, called me in for an emergency meeting. "David, you have every right to kick her out of the house until property is settled. And with these receipts and photos, her chances at taking anything from you are slim." Hearing that gave me a cold kind of satisfaction, the first bit of hope since this whole mess exploded. I handed over every piece of evidence, the hotel selfies, the credit card statements, the text history Megan had forwarded from Tyler's phone. I could see in Blackwell's eyes, he'd seen scumbags before, but Madison's trail was practically gift-wrapped. "Don't contact her unless absolutely necessary," he said. "Let her stew. The less you say, the more desperate she'll get. And make sure she doesn't take anything valuable from the house, she'll try." That advice echoed in my mind all afternoon. Sure enough, Madison tried her luck again, texting, "I need my laptop and some clothes. If you want this to go easy, don't be a jerk." Easy? That word sent a surge of anger through me. I texted back, "Your lawyer can arrange a time. Nothing leaves this house without witnesses. If you need something urgent, tell your attorney." For a moment, I almost expected a softer tone, some last-ditch apology. But she replied, "Whatever. You're pathetic, David. I'll get what's mine. I laughed out loud. The mask had completely dropped. She'd gone from bored housewife to ice-cold predator. Desperate to hang on to anything she could control. Josh stuck by my side through it all, helping me box up her things and stash anything valuable in the garage. "You're handling this better than I would," he said, trying to lighten the mood. Honestly, I'd have burned her stuff by now. I almost smiled. But deep down, I was too focused, too wired. Revenge wasn't about rage now. It was about strategy. The next curveball hit 2 days later, when Megan messaged me in a panic. "Tyler tried to get into our joint account. Locked him out, but be careful. Madison will try too." Sure enough, I checked my own accounts, 2 attempted logins from an unknown device. Madison wasn't just cruel, she was greedy and reckless. With every move she made, I felt stronger. It was like every piece of her ugly truth made me lighter, the weight of pretending finally off my shoulders. For the first time in years, I could look in the mirror and actually respect the man staring back. I wasn't weak. I wasn't boring. I was someone who could take a hit, get up, and fight. When Madison finally showed up again, escorted by her new boyfriend Tyler, the audacity, seriously, I met them at the front door with my lawyer and a police officer I'd asked to be present. Tyler looked embarrassed, couldn't meet my eyes. "Madison?" She glared at me like I'd ruined her day, arms crossed, lips pressed in a pout. "You're really doing this?" she sneered. "Making it public, bringing cops?" I stared her down. "You made it public, Madison, the second you decided to betray me. Take your bag. The rest stays until the court says otherwise." She tried to argue, tried to shout. But the officer was clear: one bag, nothing else. Her rage was volcanic, but she stormed off with Tyler, dragging a single suitcase like a dethroned queen. I didn't gloat. I didn't yell. I just closed the door and locked it behind them, feeling the first real wave of peace I'd had in months. That night, Megan called. "You did the right thing, David. Don't let her break you. You're stronger than you know." And for the first time since that first, shattering message, I almost believed it. After Madison left dragging her single suitcase, the house felt strangely light. For days, I kept expecting chaos, her angry texts, more drama, maybe even Tyler showing up to gloat. Instead, I got silence. No more footsteps in the hall, no perfume lingering in the bathroom, no fake "I love you" whispered from the doorway. At first, it was disorienting. But every hour, the emptiness felt more like a second chance than a punishment. I poured myself into rebuilding my life piece by piece. Work became my anchor, and I picked up old hobbies I'd abandoned: playing guitar, jogging at sunrise, actually cooking instead of ordering takeout because Madison didn't like the smell. I found myself laughing with Josh over the most random things, like the ancient blender Madison always said we had to replace. For the first time, it didn't feel wrong to just live. Still, the divorce process wasn't a simple victory lap. Madison fought back with everything she had. Her lawyer sent threatening emails, she wanted half of everything, emotional damages, even spousal support. The arrogance was unreal. Every letter was another slap in the face, a reminder of the woman she'd become. But I wasn't backing down. With every piece of evidence, every text, every charge, every hotel selfie, I shut her claims down one by one. My lawyer moved like a shark, cold and unrelenting. Megan was in court too, battling Tyler, sending updates and encouragement. Our shared enemy turned us into allies, and our calls became small beacons of sanity. She even managed to find receipts proving Madison and Tyler's affair stretched back over a year, plenty of ammo for both our cases. The real twist, though, came 1 week into the legal mess. I was cleaning out the closet when I found an old shoebox hidden behind Madison's shoe collection. Inside were letters, little notes and cards from other men, some names I recognized, some I didn't. Flirty, arrogant, some downright explicit. My stomach turned. She hadn't just betrayed me with Tyler. There'd been others. This wasn't just one slip. It was a pattern, a lifestyle. My mind flashed back to her cold words that night. Was it ever just Tyler? Maybe, maybe not. Now I knew the answer. That realization hit me harder than any punch. For a moment, I almost collapsed, breath knocked from my lungs. How had I missed this? How long had I been living a lie? But after the shock, something like relief set in. There was nothing left to fight for. I hadn't lost the woman I loved, I'd escaped someone who never loved me at all. With every new piece of her past I uncovered, I felt stronger, more determined to see this through. The pain was still there, sure. But now it was mixed with something else, a quiet pride. I wasn't the pathetic, boring man she tried to paint me as. I was a survivor, and I was coming out the other side. I sent the shoebox full of evidence to my lawyer. If she wants to fight dirty, let's show the court who she really is. He replied with a single word, perfect. Meanwhile, Madison tried to play victim everywhere she could. Mutual friends started texting me, some offering sympathy, others fishing for gossip. The story she told was simple: David was cold, controlling, never made me happy. For a moment, I worried about my reputation, how people would see me. But then I remembered the truth didn't need defending. The facts spoke for themselves. Anyone worth keeping in my life would see through her games. The final blow came from Megan, who sent me a recording, Tyler admitting on a call that he and Madison started seeing each other long before anyone knew. It was the last nail in the coffin. With that, my lawyer filed for an aggressive settlement. Madison was blindsided. Suddenly, the cocky threats and insults vanished. Her lawyer went silent. I felt her slipping further and further out of my life, her control and drama burning up like fog under sunlight. For the first time in a long time, I felt peace. The legal battle dragged on for weeks, but I was ready for every move Madison tried to make. She went from aggressive to desperate, calling, texting, trying to set up private meetings, just to talk things out. Sometimes, in the middle of the night, I'd get these long, rambling messages from her, how it was all a mistake, how she never meant to hurt me, how Tyler was using her. But there was never an apology, never a real admission. Only manipulation, her old tricks, dialed up in panic. I never replied. My lawyer told me it was best, but honestly, I didn't want to give her even a single word. Every day without her drama in my life made me feel stronger, more focused. My energy came back. I started going to the gym again, catching up with old friends, and remembering what it felt like to enjoy my own company. Josh dragged me out to a baseball game for the first time in years. I laughed more in one night than I had the entire last year of my marriage. Meanwhile, Megan and I kept supporting each other, sharing lawyer updates and little wins. I realized how valuable it was to have someone who'd been through the same kind of hell, someone who understood without needing everything explained. She even invited me out for coffee after one of our court dates. Sitting across from her, I felt a strange sense of calm. We barely talked about Madison and Tyler, instead, we talked about the future. She told me about her plans to travel, her new job prospects. For the first time, I saw a life beyond the wreckage, a life where this betrayal didn't define me. But the final showdown was still ahead. Our last court date arrived. I walked into the courthouse wearing a suit that finally fit right, newly tailored, no baggage. Madison was already there, looking more worn out than I'd ever seen her. No makeup, no carefully curated smile. She wouldn't meet my eyes. Her lawyer looked tense, shuffling papers. Tyler wasn't there to play hero anymore. The judge didn't waste time. My lawyer laid out every detail: photos, texts, the shoebox of letters, the bank statements, Megan's recording. Madison tried to play the victim, but the evidence was a tidal wave. Her stories contradicted each other, her emotional damages, claims fell apart. I watched her unravel right there, the mask crumbling in real time. By the end of the hearing, it was over. The judge ruled in my favor: no support, no half the house, just a clean break. Madison had to leave with what she brought in, which wasn't much. For a moment, I almost pitied her. watching her walk out, shoulders hunched, her world smaller than ever. But then I remembered all the lies, the contempt, the months she'd spent turning my life into a circus. I felt nothing but relief. The next few days, the house finally started feeling like mine again. I cleared out the last of her belongings. Josh and a few friends came over, helped me repaint the living room. It was symbolic, a fresh start, no more ghosts lurking in the corners. I boxed up the wedding photos, the old anniversary cards, and threw them out without a second thought. Megan messaged me, "Congrats. You're finally free." I smiled at the screen, feeling that word, free, settle into my bones. I'd survived the worst storm of my life. I'd lost everything that was fake and found everything real. Friends, freedom, and the beginnings of a new identity. I didn't need Madison, her approval, or her version of love. I had myself again, and I realized that was more than enough. For the first time in years, the future felt open, a blank slate. I was ready to start writing my own story, on my own terms. After the final court hearing, it was like a fog lifted from my life. The house felt bigger, brighter, almost like I'd moved somewhere new. Every trace of Madison, her perfume, her laughter, her chaos, was gone, replaced by something I hadn't felt in a long time, peace. But there's something people don't tell you about surviving betrayal. The anger fades, the pain dulls, but the lessons linger. At first, I thought I'd be haunted by Madison forever. I expected sleepless nights, flashbacks, maybe even a desire for revenge. Instead, what I found was clarity, an understanding of myself I'd never had before. I realized I'd spent years bending to someone who never truly cared about me. Every compromise, every time I swallowed my pride or let something slide, I was shrinking. Madison didn't just cheat, she chipped away at who I was, day by day, until I hardly recognized myself. The affair was just the final blow. I started journaling, just to process everything. Some nights, I'd sit on my porch with a cold beer, writing out memories, both good and bad. I forgave myself for missing the signs, for holding on to hope long after it stopped making sense. I wrote down what I wanted out of life: honesty, loyalty, laughter, respect. Not excitement at any cost, not games, not drama. I'd take a quiet night over a roller coaster of lies any day. I focused on the basics: getting healthy, reconnecting with old friends, picking up new projects at work. My boss noticed the difference almost immediately. "Whatever you're doing, keep it up," he said one morning after I landed a big client. Even my parents called more often, checking in, telling me they were proud of me. Their support meant everything. Megan and I stayed in touch, too. She was moving on, traveling more, living her own version of freedom. Sometimes we'd share a drink or swap stories about the divorce circus, laughing at how ridiculous it had all been. Neither of us needed saving. We'd already saved ourselves. There were hard days, of course. Some mornings, I'd wake up and the emptiness would feel sharp, like a new wound. Sometimes a random smell or a song would bring it all back: the betrayal, the humiliation, the moment I found those selfies at 2:14 a.m. But I let myself feel it. I didn't run or hide. Pain is proof that you cared, but it doesn't have to run your life forever. People started asking me for advice. Some friends confided their own relationship problems. My answer was always the same: don't ignore your instincts. Don't shrink to fit someone else's standards. If they don't respect you, walk away before they destroy who you are. The truth is, you don't really know your strength until life tests you. I never wanted this storm, but I came through it tougher than I ever thought possible. I got my final divorce papers in the mail on a rainy Thursday. I opened a good bottle of whiskey, sat by the window, and toasted to the end, not just of my marriage, but of the era where I let myself be anyone's backup plan. Madison was out of my life for good. She and Tyler would probably burn bright and crash fast. Maybe she'd learn something, maybe she wouldn't. That was her problem, not mine. My life was mine again. I started planning a trip, something just for me. I thought about everything I'd survived, everything I'd learned, and I felt, finally, completely, grateful. Not for the pain, but for the freedom that came from surviving it. To anyone out there who's living in denial, holding on to someone who's already gone, here's my advice: let go before you lose yourself. No thrill, no secret affair, no manipulator is worth your dignity or your peace. Rebuilding isn't easy, but trust me, it's worth it. In the end, the only person you need to be loyal to is yourself.